So, Sabrina, lovely to see you. We've got just 10 minutes today.
Okay.
Fast and furious coaching session.
Great, yep.
I know you've already come with a goal in mind that you'd like to work on. So, would you like to say what that is?
Yes. More money, please, Kim. More money.
More money.
More money.
So, I've got 1p here. I could give it to you. Would that do it?
Not quite the amount I had in mind.
Exactly. So the thing about goals is they really need to be as specific as possible. So do you know how much you had in mind?
Yes, I need £1,500 is my goal amount.
Okay, so you need £1,500. Do you know when you need it by?
By the end of the year, very early next year at the latest.
Okay. And what is it for? Is there a kind of end purpose to this £1,500 in your bank?
A trip of a lifetime. So 3 weeks away with my partner in India exploring. So yeah, really a bucket list trip.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic goal to have. So that leads me to the next question, which is what have you done about this £1,500 in your bank account so far?
Well, I'm here.
That's a good start.
I've had a think about some ways that I might be able to save some money, but that's been about it. I haven't done anything.
Okay, so what stopped you?
Actually just having the time, actually having the opportunity to sit down and have the conversation about what I could really do, find a concrete way of reaching that goal.
Okay, so we've got that here in our coaching sessions. So what do you want from me as your coach here today?
Just the opportunity to work out what I can do, what the next steps are. I think I could see so many steps in front of me and I didn't know which one to do, so I didn't take any of them.
Okay, all right. I'm glad you said that and not £1,500. This bit I can do. You've already mentioned that you've come up with lots of thoughts, ideas, options. Would you like to just run through them all for me now? All the options that you've come up with and any more that you think of while you're sitting here now.
Okay, so simple things like lunches for work, actually, rather than going out and buying a lunch most days, actually getting to the point where I buy a loaf of bread, buy some, sandwich fillings and take lunch into work every day. So I think that could be a good cost saving. Buying bottled water rather than buying bottled water, refilling a bottle. It's a small difference. I spend a lot on my hobbies, which a lot of running events, and I need to try and think about how many of those I really need or should be doing. And then the other one is actually spending money on clothes every month that I probably don't need to be spending money on.
Okay. They all seem like really good options to me. But what occurs to me is they're all about saving and cost cutting. I have no agenda in this. It's just a question. Are there any opportunities for you to actually get more income?
Yeah, it's a good question, actually. I bake cakes as a hobby, and actually a lot of people still ask me, could I make a christening cake? Could I make a cake for their child's first birthday, second birthday? So that could be an income generator if I started saying yes to some of those, but rather than just saying yes and doing it just for free, just because actually making sure I made a little bit off that as well. Okay, so out of the things that you've said so far, and any more that you think of in the next few minutes, from spending less on clothes, spending less on the events that you do, the sporting events that you do, taking sandwiches to work rather than going out and buying something, and perhaps charging people for the cakes that they ask you to make. Out of all of those, is there one that appeals to you most of all? I think the one I'd be most committed to doing would be stopping spending on clothing every month. My hobbies are really important to me and they're really a big part of who I am. And by not doing those, I think it could make for a miserable few months ahead in terms of saving. So I still want to keep living my life and doing the things I enjoy, but So by cutting out a spend on clothes, actually I don't feel like that's going to affect my happiness, but it would certainly make a difference to my bank balance.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea. So out of all those, that's something you feel committed to doing, yeah?
Definitely, yeah.
If it was the other way around and I was sitting here saying to you that I'm going on a trip of a lifetime early next year to India and I need to save some money to do it, what would you be telling me to do?
To think about that long-term goal, to work out how much it is you need to save perhaps each month. So work out actually what is it you're trying to put into savings, what don't you need to be spending? You know, what's going to make the difference? And I guess if I think about that as the question, what is going to make the difference? Well, I probably want to be putting £150 away a month.
Yeah.
You know, you've bought a couple of nice dresses, you've spent £150, and I don't need to be spending £150 every month. I could put that £150 directly into savings.
Great thinking. What do you need to do to really make sure that happens?
I should set up a direct debit every month with that amount going out into a savings account, because sometimes my purchases come out of knowing what's available in my current account and thinking, well, there's money there, so I'll just treat myself. Whereas if that comes out the same time as my income goes in, I don't see it there and I'd be less inclined to spend it.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. What do you think could trip you up or get in the way of you doing this?
I guess if there's a particular event or an occasion that you want to buy something new, where you just think, oh, I feel really special because I've got a new outfit for this occasion, a christening or a wedding or a black tie event. So something like that might tempt me to spend the money instead of save it.
Okay, and you know what's coming. How would you overcome that? Just to think ahead so that you've got a plan.
It's a good question. Actually, I'm the same size as most of my friends.
That's a good thought.
And actually, that potentially opens up 4 different wardrobes rather than even just accessing my own wardrobe.
Yeah.
Actually setting a system up saying, I'm looking to save a bit of money this year, girls. Like, what can we do to support each other?
Great thinking.
So the black tie event, I've got a dress borrowed, or a summer garden party, you know, who's got something that fits. So actually setting up a system of support.
Fantastic. That was leading me actually to the next question, which was, who could support you with that?
I think first and foremost, my partner. He's got the same savings goal as well because we're planning this trip together. He never really queries if I come home with something new from the shops. I don't need to pretend that I've owned something for months and pulling it out of the wardrobe. So actually now asking him to hold me accountable for the money I'm spending, just to keep me on track. So as well as my friends supporting me and speaking to them perhaps about the goal, also speaking to my partner about my goal as well.
Okay, so we're really narrowing down, funneling down now from your vague goal to some specifics. And what we've got is a sense of a purpose, a reason for doing it. We've identified what could get in the way and how you could overcome that. We have looked at who could support you. We've looked at how committed you are to a particular option. So we're really getting somewhere here. Final question, I suppose, from me is, what's the purpose of this?
The purpose of this is to be able to have my dream trip and holiday away and come back not having to keep paying for it, so not having to pay for it after the trip, having paid for it beforehand and then just being able to really enjoy it while I'm there.
And how can you just hold on to that for the next kind of 10 months until you go?
Yeah, that's it. I know that actually instantly. So we were spurred on to go. It's something I've wanted to do, but I was given a bracelet from India by a friend, and it's a beautiful bracelet. It could serve as a really useful reminder, so I could wear it every day to remind me of my goal and the trip that I want to take, and almost use it as a stop. So if I'm about to hand my card over for something, it's there and it's reminding me my bigger goal.
Great thinking, great idea. Finally, what support, if any, can I give you in this?
If you could hold me accountable, so at our next session, check in to see if I am doing what I've said I was going to do.
Happily, yeah, great. So I'll see you next month. And I'm really looking forward to receiving a postcard from India sometime next year.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. So you'll notice that in that session at the start, Sabrina began with what I would call a good intention rather than a clear goal. She wanted more money. And I quite facetiously offered to give her 1p or 2p and said, well, there you are, we've done that now. The reason I did that was to show that goals really need to be specific. And I work with a lot of coaches, I train a lot of coaches, and I think many of them don't spend long enough on really understanding what their client's initial goal is. If they don't, the danger is that both of them can kind of be going off in the wrong direction. So what I just did with Sabrina, I covered lots and lots of the checks that you need to carry out when someone presents you with a goal. And they are things like the following. Make the goal really specific in terms of quantity, in terms of quality, in terms of time. I asked Sabrina when she wanted to achieve that. Identify a purpose. What is the long-term purpose or benefit of doing this for you? I asked also what would happen if she didn't do it. So what's the cost of not doing it? I asked what she'd done about it so far, which is a really interesting question, because if someone's presenting saying, I want something, why haven't they already done something? And what follows on from that is, well, what's been stopping you? What obstacles have been in the way? It's always important to ask clients to generate options for themselves. Sabrina came up with things that I never would have thought of, and they were specifically relevant to her and her life. And then she chose one, some clients choose more than that she could commit to here and now today. We looked at accessing support from people who could help her in it, including myself. Again, finally, we looked again at what could stop you doing it and how would you overcome that. Sometimes at the end you can ask for a commitment on a scale of 1 to 10 to find out how committed that person is to their goal. Today I didn't do that because it felt to me that Sabrina was really committed, but maybe it would have been an added extra if I'd done that. Finally, we got some commitment to meeting again and accountability. So if she hasn't done it, we'll relook at it next time, because there's no failure, only feedback. But for what it's worth, I think she's going to do it.